It was an unusually busy morning at Dr. Emily Johnson's office. At 45 years old and with 15 years dedicated to urology, she had developed a sixth sense for identifying when a day would be different from the others. As she organized her notes, for the first appointment, she reflected on how her choice to pursue medicine, especially urology and andrology, had been driven by a deep desire to transform lives. The office, located in a commercial building in the heart of Chicago, was a welcoming space, decorated with soft shades of blue and green, specifically chosen to convey tranquility. On the walls, in addition to the necessary diplomas, there were educational infographics about men's health, carefully selected to be informative without being intimidating. Her first patient of the day was Mr. John Carter, a 65-year-old successful businessman who, like so many men of his generation, had never prioritized his preventive health. The secretary announced him, and he entered the room with hesitant steps, carrying not only his medical concerns, but also the weight of the prejudices and taboos surrounding men's health. "Doctor," he began after sitting down, "I admit I put off this appointment for a long time. My wife insisted that I come." His restless hands betrayed the nervousness he was trying to hide. Emily smiled warmly, already familiar with this situation that frequently repeated itself in her office. "Mr. Carter, you are not alone in this journey. Many men share this same hesitation, but what matters is that you are here now," she replied, with the serenity that years of experience had given her. "Shall we start by talking about what brought you here today?" As she listened to the patient's account of urinary symptoms he had been ignoring for months, Emily realized that this would be the perfect moment to start a project she had long been nurturing in her thoughts, a comprehensive awareness program focused on men's health, especially for men over 50. The case of Mr. John Carter was emblematic. A man who was professionally successful, meticulously managed his business affairs, but had neglected his own health for years. During the consultation, he revealed that several of his friends faced similar issues, but few sought medical help. "You know, doctor," he confided, "in my circle of friends, talking about health is almost taboo, especially when it involves the prostate. It's as if admitting we need medical care is a sign of weakness." Those words resonated deeply with Emily Johnson. Throughout her career, she'd witnessed countless times how fear and prejudice prevented men from seeking preventive medical care. Every case that arrived late at her office reinforced the urgency for a cultural shift in how society approached men's health. After performing the necessary physical exam and ordering additional tests, Emily took extra time to educate her patient about the importance of prevention and self-care. She explained in detail how the prostate functioned, using clear and accessible language, and emphasized how small lifestyle changes could have a significant impact on health. "Mr. Carter, you've already taken the first and most important step, seeking professional help. Now let's work together to ensure your health and well-being," she concluded, handing him a personalized care plan. After the patient left, Emily remained in her office, reflecting on how she could expand her impact beyond the walls of her practice. The experience that morning had crystallized an idea that had been forming for some time. There was a need to create a broader movement to raise awareness about men's health. She began jotting down notes in her notebook, sketching out a project that would combine her clinical experience with a more holistic approach to men's health. She envisioned lectures, support groups, and educational materials that could reach men before serious problems developed. "Prevention cannot be seen as optional," she murmured to herself while organizing her thoughts. "We need to change the narrative about what it means to be a man and take care of one's health." At that moment, Emily didn't know it yet, but she was about to embark on a journey that would transform not only her own medical practice, but also the lives of hundreds of men who, like Mr. John, just needed a push to start taking better care of themselves. In the weeks following the consultation with Mr. John, Emily began to implement her awareness project. Her first initiative was to organize an informal meeting with a small group of patients in a conference room within the medical building itself. To her surprise, Mr. John not only attended, but also brought 2 friends along. The environment had been carefully prepared to promote comfort and openness. Chairs arranged in a circle, a side table with coffee and water, and slide presentations with clear and objective information about men's health. Emily knew that the success of this first meeting would be crucial for the development of the project. "Gentlemen, thank you all for being here," she began, observing the attentive faces around her. "Today, we are not here just as a doctor and patients, but as partners in an important mission to demystify men's health care." As the meeting progressed, Emily noticed a gradual change in the participants' behavior. What started with hesitant responses and wary glances turned into a lively and productive discussion. The men began to share their experiences, fears, and doubts. "Doctor, I never thought that diet could have such an impact on prostate health," commented one of the participants, a 70-year-old man, while taking notes. Emily took the opportunity to delve deeper into the topic of prevention through diet. "Nutrition is one of the fundamental pillars of prostate health," she explained, projecting a slide with nutritional information. "Foods rich in lycopene, such as tomatoes and red guava, selenium, found in Brazil nuts, and omega-3, present in fatty fish, are excellent allies in preventing prostate issues." The group's interest grew significantly when Emily began talking about physical exercise and its importance for men's health. She explained how regular physical activity not only benefits the prostate, but also contributes to cardiovascular, mental, and sexual health. "We don't need to become Olympic athletes," she joked, eliciting smiles from the group. A 30-minute daily walk, pelvic floor strengthening exercises, and activities we enjoy can already make a big difference. During the meeting, Emily also addressed a topic she knew was particularly sensitive: the importance of the digital rectal exam. Using a direct yet sensitive approach, she explained why the procedure is crucial for an accurate diagnosis. "Gentlemen, I know this is a topic that causes discomfort," she acknowledged, "but we need to understand that this exam, which takes less than a minute, can make the difference between an early diagnosis and a late one." Mr. John, who had been quiet until then, shared his own experience. "I admit that the fear of this exam kept me away from the doctor's office for years, but when I finally mustered the courage, I realized that the fear was much worse than the procedure itself." John's honesty inspired other participants to share their stories. One of them revealed that he had resisted seeking medical help for years, even while facing urinary difficulties, out of fear of what his friends might think. Emily took advantage of these revelations to introduce the concept of healthy masculinity. "Taking care of our health doesn't make us less of a man," she emphasized. "On the contrary, it shows responsibility and self-love." At the end of the meeting, Emily distributed informational materials and announced that she planned to hold regular meetings. To her satisfaction, everyone present expressed interest in participating in future meetings and offered to bring more friends. "This is just the beginning," thought Emily, watching the group disperse, chatting animatedly among themselves. "Every man we manage to raise awareness becomes a multiplier of this message." In her office, after the meeting, Emily updated her notes on the project. She realized she had touched on something important: the need for men to have a safe space to discuss their health concerns. The challenge now would be to expand this initiative, reaching more people and breaking down more barriers. As she organized her ideas for the next meetings, Emily received a message from Mr. John Carter. "Doctor, I have no words to thank you. Today I realized that I am not alone on this journey. I've already scheduled exams for 3 friends who were reluctant to seek medical help." That message confirmed to Emily Johnson that she was on the right path. Changing the mindset about men's health was possible, one man at a time, one conversation at a time. The success of the first meeting motivated Emily to expand her project. Over the months, the bi-weekly gatherings evolved into a structured men's health education program. The initial group of half a dozen participants had grown to over 30, men who regularly met to learn and share experiences. During one of these meetings, Emily decided to address a frequently overlooked topic: the connection between physical and mental health. The meeting that day took place in a larger space, provided by a local community center, decorated with plants and informational posters about holistic health. Prostate health does not exist in isolation, began Emily, observing the familiar faces and some new ones in the audience. It is closely linked to our emotional well-being and our overall quality of life. To illustrate her point, she invited a psychologist specializing in men's health, Dr. Richard Miller, to join the meeting. Together, they explored how stress, anxiety, and other emotional factors could impact prostate health and sexual function. Many men don't realize how daily stress affects their physical health, explained Dr. Richard. When we ignore our emotions, our bodies often manifest this imbalance in other ways. During the presentation, one of the most dedicated participants, Albert, a 68-year-old retired teacher, shared his experience. After I started practicing meditation and yoga, following Dr. Emily's recommendations, I noticed a significant improvement in my urinary symptoms. I never imagined there was such a connection. Emily took advantage of Albert's testimony to introduce the concept of integrative practices in men's health. With carefully prepared slides, she presented scientific studies demonstrating the benefits of relaxation techniques, breathing exercises, and meditative practices for prostate health. Regular ejaculation, for example, is not just a matter of pleasure, explained Emily, addressing the topic with professional ease. It is an important physiological function for prostate health, which also has significant psychological benefits. The discussion deepened as participants began sharing their own discoveries about the mind-body connection. A 55-year-old businessman reported how regular physical exercise had not only improved his physical health, but also his mood and mental disposition. "It's amazing how everything is connected," he commented. "When I started exercising regularly, I noticed that I slept better, had more energy, and even my relationship with my wife improved." Emily then introduced a new element to the program: monthly mindfulness sessions specifically designed for men with concerns related to prostate health. She explained how this practice could help reduce anxiety related to medical exams and procedures. "Fear and anxiety are natural," she acknowledged, "but we can't let them stop us from taking care of our health. With the right tools, we can turn that fear into positive action." During the meeting, Dr. Richard led a brief relaxation session, teaching simple techniques that participants could practice at home. The response was surprisingly positive, with several men reporting an immediate sense of well-being. "It's as if a weight has been lifted off my shoulders," commented one of the participants after the exercise. "I never thought something so simple could make such a difference." Emily observed, satisfied, how the group had evolved. What had started as meetings focused exclusively on the physical aspects of prostate health had transformed into a space of holistic change, where body and mind were equally valued. At the end of the session, as the participants said their goodbyes, many already making plans to implement the new practices into their routines, Emily reflected on how her initial vision had expanded. The project was no longer just about disease prevention, but about promoting a new understanding of men's health. "Every small step toward self-awareness and self-care is a victory," she thought, organizing her notes. "And these victories multiply when shared in community." The afternoon ended with a renewed sense of hope. The men left not only with more knowledge, but also with practical tools to take care of their health in a holistic way. Emily knew she was witnessing a gradual but profound transformation in how these men viewed their own health. The impact of Emily's work began to extend beyond the regular meetings. One particularly busy morning, she received Charles, a 58-year-old businessman, in her office. He had been referred by one of the group participants. "Doctor, I admit I came because I saw the change in my friend Peter," said Charles, sitting in the office chair. "He won't stop talking about how your program changed his life, especially after he discovered the importance of prevention." Emily smiled, recognizing how the multiplier effect of her work was taking hold. She seized the opportunity to conduct a detailed consultation, explaining to Charles the importance of preventive exams and how small lifestyle changes could make a big difference. "Did you know that 90% of prostate issues have better outcomes when detected early?" she explained, using an anatomical model to illustrate her points. That's why prevention is our best ally. While performing the physical exam on Charles, Emily reflected on how her approach to prevention had evolved over the years. It was no longer just about regular checkups, but about fostering a comprehensive awareness of health. Prevention starts in the kitchen, she explained to Charles, as she wrote down some recommendations. A diet rich in antioxidants, for example, can be an important ally for prostate health. Emily spent the next few minutes detailing a personalized meal plan, highlighting specific foods known for their benefits to prostate health: tomatoes, pomegranates, green tea, omega-3 rich fish, and Brazilian nuts. It's not about making radical changes, she clarified, noticing Charles's concerned expression. We start with small adjustments that can be maintained long-term. During the consultation, Charles revealed that he was sedentary and spent many hours sitting due to work. Emily took the opportunity to introduce another crucial aspect of prevention: regular physical activity. A sedentary lifestyle is one of the greatest enemies of prostate health, she explained. But we don't need to become athletes to combat it. Small changes in routine can make a big difference. She worked with Charles to develop a physical activity plan that fit his busy schedule, starting with short walks during lunch breaks, taking active breaks during work, and gradually incorporating more structured exercises. The key is consistency, not intensity, Emily emphasized. 15 minutes of daily exercise is more beneficial than 2 hours once a week. As they discussed the prevention plan, Emily noticed how Charles became increasingly engaged in the conversation, asking relevant questions and taking notes on his phone. It was exactly this shift in mindset that she aimed to promote. "You know, doctor," said Charles, as he put away his phone. "I always thought prevention was something for hypochondriacs. Today, I understand it's quite the opposite. It's a smart way to take care of your health." Emily took this moment to invite Charles to the group meetings, explaining how community support could strengthen his journey of changing habits. To her satisfaction, he showed immediate interest. "Prevention doesn't have to be a lonely path," she explained. "When we share experiences and support each other, the process becomes lighter and more effective." Before ending the appointment, Emily made the necessary referrals for preventive exams and scheduled a follow-up. She handed Charles a personalized guide with all the recommendations discussed during the consultation. "Remember," she said as they said goodbye, "prevention is an investment in quality of life. Every small change we make today has a significant impact on our future." After Charles left, Emily updated her notes, pleased with another seed planted. She knew that every patient like him who embraced prevention became a living example of the benefits of self-care. The day continued to be busy, but Emily carried with her the certainty that her work was making a difference. Prevention, more than a medical practice, was becoming a movement of transformation in the lives of her patients. 6 months had passed since the start of Emily's project, and the results were beginning to show in surprising ways. On a Thursday afternoon, during one of the group meetings that now took place in a larger auditorium due to the growing number of participants, she observed with satisfaction how her work had turned into a true movement for change. That day's meeting was special. It would be the first time participants brought their family members to join the meeting. Emily had carefully planned this integration, recognizing the importance of family support in the healthcare process. "Welcome, everyone," she began, looking at the diverse audience that included wives, children, and even grandchildren of her patients. "Today, we're going to talk about how men's healthcare impacts not just the man, but the entire family." Albert, the retired teacher who had become one of the most active members of the group, stood up to share his story. By his side, his wife Mary smiled proudly. "When I first started attending these meetings, I thought I was doing it just for myself," he said, his voice choked with emotion. "But I realized that every step I took toward a healthier life positively affected my entire family. My grandchildren now have a more energetic grandfather to play with. My wife has a more present and active partner." Emily noticed how several participants nodded in agreement. Charles, the businessman who had recently joined the program, was present with his teenage daughter, who had helped him create an app to monitor his new exercise routine and healthy eating habits. "My dad has always been a workaholic," the young girl shared. "Seeing him now prioritizing his health, exercising, and eating better is inspiring. He has become an example not just for me, but for our entire family." During the meeting, Emily presented concrete data on how the program had impacted the participants' lives. Graphs showed significant improvements in various health indicators: more controlled PSA levels, reduced urinary symptoms, better sleep quality, and decreased stress levels. "But the numbers don't tell the whole story," she emphasized. "The real transformation lies in the shift in mindset I see in each of you." A particularly touching moment occurred when Mr. John Carter, the patient who had inspired the entire project, took the stage to share his journey. By his side was a group of friends from the golf club he had managed to bring into the program. "When I started this journey, I was full of fears and prejudices," he confessed. "Today, not only do I take care of my health with pride, but I've also become an ambassador for this cause. I've already convinced over 15 friends to start their regular checkups." Emily Johnson seized the moment to introduce a new initiative, a mentorship program where more experienced participants would help guide newcomers. The idea was to create an even stronger and more personalized support network. "Each of you has a unique and valuable story to share," she explained. "Your experiences can be the push someone needs to take the first step towards self-care." During the meeting, video testimonials from participants who couldn't be present but wanted to share their transformation stories were also shown. One of them was from a truck driver who had completely reorganized his routine on the road to include healthy practices. "I discovered that I can exercise even during truck stops," he shared in the video. "I learned to choose healthier foods at stops, and even started practicing meditation during my mandatory rest periods." At the end of the gathering, Emily proposed a special activity. Each participant wrote a letter to themselves, setting health goals for the next 6 months. The letters would be kept and returned at the end of this period, serving as a reminder of the commitment they made to themselves. "The transformation we see here goes beyond physical health," concluded Emily, observing the atmosphere filled with positive energy and hope. "We are creating a new culture of care and awareness that extends to all areas of life." As the families said their goodbyes, sharing hugs and exchanging contact information, Emily realized that her project had become much bigger than she had ever imagined. It was no longer just a health program, but a social transformation movement that was changing the way men and their families viewed self-care. In her office, on a quiet Friday afternoon, Emily was organizing the results of a year-long project. The walls, once decorated only with medical infographics, now also displayed photos of group meetings and posters created by the participants themselves. Each image told a story of transformation. As she reviewed her files, she came across Mr. John's chart, the patient who had inspired it all. His most recent test showed significant improvement in all indicators. But beyond the numbers, it was the change in his demeanor and quality of life that was most impressive. "Doctor," he had said during his last visit, "I never imagined that, at 65, I would feel healthier and more energetic than I did at 50. And the best part is being able to share this experience with other men who are just starting their journey now." The project that had begun as a small initiative in her practice had expanded in surprising ways. Other doctors in the city were starting to adopt her integrative approach, and she was constantly receiving invitations to share her experience at conferences and medical events. Emily picked up her tablet and began reviewing the numbers. Over 200 men had participated in the program throughout the year. The rates of adherence to preventive treatments had increased significantly, and cases of treatment abandonment had drastically decreased. "The numbers are impressive," she thought, "but it's the individual stories that truly show the impact of the work." At that moment, her secretary announced the arrival of a new patient. Robert, 72 years old, a retired university professor. He entered the room with a confident smile, something unusual for a first appointment. "Dr. Emily," he began, I've been following your work for a few months through the online support group you created. Finally, I gathered the courage to come in person. Your virtual lectures completely changed my perspective on men's health." Emily smiled, recalling how the pandemic had forced the project to adapt to a virtual environment, which ultimately became a powerful tool for reaching men who, for various reasons, couldn't attend the meetings in person. During the consultation with Robert, Emily noticed how her own approach had evolved. It was no longer just about treating symptoms or prescribing medication, but about understanding each patient in their entirety, considering their fears, expectations, and life context. "You know, doctor," said Robert as she took some notes, "I read your articles on the importance of regular physical activity. I started swimming 3 months ago, and the difference in my energy levels is impressive." Emily took the opportunity to share with Robert the latest studies on the benefits of exercise for prostate health, explaining how regular activity could not only improve physical symptoms, but also enhance overall quality of life. After the consultation, while updating Robert's medical record, Emily reflected on how her work had evolved. What had started as a mission to raise awareness about prostate health had transformed into a much broader movement promoting men's well-being. On her desk, there was an invitation to attend an international urology conference, where she would share the results of her project. It was an opportunity to further expand the reach of her work, inspiring other professionals to adopt a more holistic and humanized approach. "The future is promising," she thought, looking at the most recent photo of the support group on her wall. Every new patient who arrives is an opportunity to continue this transformation. That afternoon, before ending her workday, Emily received a message from Charles, the businessman who had become one of the most active participants in the program. He shared photos of a walk he had organized with his coworkers, all wearing t-shirts with messages about men's health awareness. "This is just the beginning," Emily smiled, packing up her belongings. "Every man we reach becomes an agent of change, in his own community." As she left the office, Emily stopped for a moment to watch the sunset through the window. She thought about all the men she had met over the past year, their stories of overcoming and transformation. Each of them was living proof that with the right approach and proper support, it was possible to break taboos and build a new culture of care for men's health. True success isn't just in the numbers, she reflected, but in the shift in mindset that we're managing to promote. Every small step towards self-care is a victory that multiplies, affecting entire families and communities. With these thoughts, Emily wrapped up another day of work, knowing that tomorrow would bring new stories, new challenges, and new opportunities to make a difference in the lives of her patients.